Historically, of course, there is not the huge tradition, the huge history like in Europe, where we date back to, I don't know, 3000 before Christ with the Celts and things like this. Yeah? Actually, it was back in 1791. There were two bunches of wines, of grapes, cut it and brought on the 24th of January to Australia. The father of the Australian viticulture is considered Mr. James Busby. He's a Scottish guy, emigrated to Australia. Around 1820 to 1840, commercial viticulture started in New South Wales, Western Australia, Victoria, and South Australia. The vinifera, so the Vitis vinifera from Europe, our traditional grape, you know, Riesling, Chardonnay, Cabernet, and so on, they were imported to Australia. There are, besides some assumptions, there are some native wines in Australia existing, but mainly, I would say 98-99% of the wines out there are European grape varieties. No native wines, except the small portion I mentioned before, no crosses, no hybrids. So nothing about crossing Vitis labrusca or Vitis riparius with some Vitis vinifera. 1877, phylloxera came, like everywhere in the world. But they coped with this phylloxera quite good on the sandy soils, for example. And there's one wine which is always on your mind when you talk about Australia. It was called Grange Hermitage. Of course, due to European law, it's not allowed to be called Hermitage anymore because Hermitage is a origin in France, in the Rhone Valley, in the northern Rhone Valley. So the wine now is called Grange. Price is going up to $1,000, $2,000 per bottle, depending on the vintage. And Mr. Max Schubert, back in 1951, has vinified this wine. The interesting thing on this wine is it was a forbidden and a hidden project in the beginning, but then when it was presented in 1962 to the globe, really to the globe, the vintage 1955 really was top of the top, the best ever they had. And the interesting thing, it's a blend. It's a multi-district blend. You know, in Europe we say the smaller the site, the single vineyard wines, they are always the best. But here it's totally different. Just pick the best grapes from everywhere where wine is growing in Australia. Put them together and you get the best wine. So again, a different thinking. Yeah, down under, it's Australia. There's a kind of a tradition in Australia. They used to produce a lot of fortified wines, alcohol-rich port and sherry wines, because of, you know, keeping the wines for a longer time and they stayed safe. Yeah, but this tradition is going back. But still, you can find some bottles called port or sherry or Australian port, Australian sherry, down there in Australia. Not allowed to be exported to Europe, of course, but still you can have, because the people consider a certain wine style. When they read port on a label, they know about the wine style, regardless where it's coming from. This is the Australian mindset they have. But as said before, it's going down. And the agreement with the European Union in terms of export business, which is quite important for Australia, has been that names like port, sherry, Hermitage, and so on are not allowed anymore to be used in the whole country as well as in the export to Europe. Of course, some still do so.